phones, and we remind you the use of audio-visual recording devices or any form of photography is strictly prohibited. Anybody doing so may be asked to leave the theatre by staff. Thank you, and enjoy the performance. First appearance, it had a rustic charm and a warm, country-like appeal. In the wooded area on the back roads, it was obscured and hard to find. This was the least of the problems. The landlord seemed to be too preoccupied with simple chit-chat about the weather and local attractions, when he should really have been replacing the grey and grout in the bathroom and cleaning out the shower head. When my partner unscrewed it to examine inside, he found what we believed were definite signs of Legionnaire's disease. Close examination inside the toilet system revealed that the ball cock had seen better days and hadn't been cleaned for some time, if ever. I managed to crack the system lid whilst trying to put it back, which only made me wonder what cheap and shoddy bathroom materials our host must have chosen to furnish the place. All in all, a cheap but certainly not cheerful weekend was spent here. Avoid Sunnyview Guest House at all costs.
Yes, I'm the owner of Sunnyview Guest. Hello, I'd like to inquire about a recent posting on Sunnyview Guest House. My username? Yes, it's Wandering Minstrel. It's just thinking about it. I might have said a few things which were a little too strong, and I was hoping you could remove it and I could rewrite it. You see, my diction in a few places leaves a lot to be desired, and I don't want it to appear as if I'm of low intelligence. Which is how I feel the review comes across, as if it's written by someone of low intelligence. You can't remove it! But you accepted it easily enough. I wrote it on the spur of the moment, and I can't help feeling what's written, I mean what I wrote, could be detrimental to this person's business. Yes, I know I should have considered that, but I'm considering it now, aren't I? I just can't see how anyone reading this review would want to stay here. There. Yes, you're right. I shouldn't have written it. And do you know what? I didn't write it! There, I've said it. I only said I'm the bloody wandering minstrel to get your attention, because every time I tell you I'm the owner of Sunnyview Guest House, you have... Bastards! It's just to tide us over till the festival. Then I'm sure things will pick up. The guest house was always a bit of a dream of mine. My wife, Gloria, she saw it more as a stepping stone to bigger things. A chain of small guest houses, maybe even our first hotel. She was always talking about getting ahead, making something of our lives. I was more interested in the people we meet as they pass through. I used to say, Gloria, there is more to life than money. Don't you agree? Oh well, probably not the best thing to ask your bank manager. You see, the way I see it, if you have enough to live on, and you can bring a little happiness into people's lives and make their stay more enjoyable, then what's wrong with that? Profit. Well, it's not something that really interests me. I mean, What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the world, but lose his soul in the process? No, I'm pleased to say I'm not afflicted with the curse of ambition anymore. I was once, but I soon came to my senses. This was the bone of contention between myself and Gloria. How are you ever going to get ahead, she'd say. You'll never get ahead. Sorry? Where is my wife? Oh, well, she's staying with her sister now, in Australia. I miss her, I suppose. I certainly don't miss the way she spoke to me, particularly towards the end. I mean, before she left. Oh yes, she did close her online account and put all the money into mine. Guilt, I expect. A small token to right her wrongdoings. Yes, £20,000 is quite generous, but it doesn't last forever. Nor does it make up for the years of humiliation. I mean, what price can you put on a man's sanity when someone is chipping away at it, like a rock hammer on a block of chalk, crumbling until there's nothing left but dust? You don't need to hear all this. It would be fair to say that I've fallen in hard times. But that's all part of life's rich pageant, isn't it? You take the rough with the smooth. Life's a roller coaster. The path of life is strewn with... I'm sorry? Well, yes, it does look bleak, but that's why I've come to you. What caused it? Recession. And maybe people not wanting to spend their holidays in the countryside. What's the left of it? The new bypass at the back of Sunnyview hasn't helped. You see, that's where the Sunnyview was. Now it's obscured most of the day with flyover. And the new runway hasn't helped either. Being on a major flight path near an airport doesn't offer quite the same tranquility that we used to have. But I can deal with that. It's this review I can't deal with. Oh, I didn't tell you. No. Well, someone has posted a rather unsavoury review on a travel advisory website naming Sunnyview as... well, it's been quite a blow to business. I'm in the process of getting it removed, and it should be any day now. Then I'm sure business will be booming. Not that it ever was. Booming, I mean. In fact, the only boom I'm likely to hear is a sonic one if they bring bloody Concorde back, which, knowing my luck, they will. And it'll be flying overhead every hour, on the hour. I am so sorry, I'm trying to keep a positive mental attitude. It's just a blip. A fly in the ointment, a great big steaming dog turd to my nice clean bath. The loan? Oh. Well, 10,000? I'm sorry. Are you all right? Is it because the sum's so low that you find it amusing? Okay, well, 15 then. 20? Laughing isn't helping matters. I need an answer! No. You mean no, not just now, or... oh, you mean no. Right. Well, thank you for your time. Do you know what? I will get ahead. I will make so much money, it'll make you choke. Then I'll put it all into my account just to show you, and then I'll take it all back out again. I will make you count every single penny out in front of me. Then you'll see I'm not to be trifled with.
Wandering minstrel, I am saddened to hear your stay at Sunnyview Guest House a few months ago was not to your liking. Here at Sunnyview, we pride ourselves on customer satisfaction, and if a guest has a complaint, something I have until now found as rare as hen's teeth, I would hope they would bring this to my attention and we could deal with the situation amicably rather than by your preferred method of plastering it all over the World Wide Web. Your review, which I am sure was intended as constructive, has had rather a detrimental effect on my trade of late. I am but a small business just trying to get ahead, and can ill afford negative publicity of this kind. It's damaging, and unless removed, could effectively finish me off. I appreciate the points you've raised, and I thank you for bringing them to my attention, along with the attention of the other 33,497 people who have also viewed it since it went live.
Please rest assured, I aim to put right the broken tile in the shower, regrout the greying area, albeit which I foolishly thought was out of sight, but as you kindly pointed out with some skillful manoeuvring of the bathroom vanity unit, can indeed be seen if one looks closely. I will polish the ball cock, something I admit I overlooked in my tardiness. I will make sure all blinds are completely devoid of a single dust particle, and I will recarpet any carpet that looks the slightest bit threadbare. In fact, I'd go as far to say that if the shag pile doesn't look like a woolly mammoth that has spent the afternoon being pampered, shampooed, set and coiffured by Vidal Sassoon himself, then I'll recarpet the whole house, the loft, and inside the garden shed, should any other overzealous guest wish to visit there purely out of curiosity.
Door hinges and all knobs will be oiled and polished to perfection. Any offending splinters on door frames swiftly located and sanded, rust removed, stains vanquished, handprints disintegrated, and any cut rings on wooden surfaces that prove offending to the eye will be at the mercy of the best French polisher money can buy. Shelves will be realigned using the very latest in laser technology, and the same techniques applied to the dining room chairs to ensure they retain completely level at all times. Accompanying chairs examined with a plumb line for straightness of back, the microwave oven tested with a Geiger counter for possible radiation risk. As a further precaution, said microwave's audible beep, along with that of the washing machine, the TV, stereo and doorbell, will all be monitored by a decibel meter to ensure that they fall within the government guidelines regarding noise pollution. Percy, the pet goldfish, will be assessed by local government body and get correct certificates obtained to ensure presence in his bowl in the hallway doesn't contravene the Keeping of Dangerous Pets Act 1995. All light bulbs, again tested with a Geiger counter for leaking radiation, and mesh guards fitted over them should they spontaneously combust, showering the unsuspecting guests with shards of hot, molten glass.
In short, the points raised in your review have given me the opportunity to cast a critical eye over Sunnyview Guest House and enabled me to redress the above mentioned and more. I can now assure you that your findings will be dealt with, and I thank you for bringing them to my attention, and would kindly ask, since I have taken all matters in hand, that you would be gracious enough to now remove your review from the website. Yours sincerely, Mr. Ralph H. Carpenter.
Dear Mr. Carpenter, thank you for your recent correspondence in relation to my review on your guest house. I'm pleased that I have been able to show you your shortcomings within the hotel industry. But the fact of the matter remains that I, and I'm sure everyone reading this, haven't failed to note the sarcastic tone of your reply. I'm therefore treating it in the manner it was intended, and will stand by my original review, which I believe will remain on the site long after we have both shuffled off our mortal coil and gone to meet our Maker. Since your reply has served to jog my memory, I thought I would bring the following previously omitted issues to your attention. Your culinary skills leave a lot to be desired. Egon Rone, you are not. For breakfast I opted for the kipper, but when it arrived, limp and looking as though it had been hammered wafer thin by a steak tenderizer, I didn't have the heart to eat the poor thing. Lunchtime also brought its own rare delight. A platter of assorted sandwiches. Assorted being the operative word here, I envisaged such diversity as smoked salmon, prime beef, tiger prawns and lettuce. Instead, this veritable selection plucked from the realms of your imagination, remain firmly in the arena de la fromage, and rather than hammer home a point, which I'm sure I could have done with a brie were it required, the word selection in my world means variety, and doesn't restrict itself to a warm cheddar or an anemic double Gloucester. Any side order of salad or green vegetables proved as elusive as Lord Lucan, and the bread that housed these culinary delights, I hazard, may have indeed been as old as him. Evening meal. Where do I start? At Sunnyview would appear to be with the same soup du jour for 3 days on the trot. Oh, and the term beef Wellington is the name of a dish, not an instruction to make it taste like the very footwear it borrows its moniker from. Still, I'm sure only you can achieve. I could go on, but really don't see the point. I just hope my reviews will spare some poor sod the same torture we went through in the brief, unfortunate time we spent as what could only be described as your victims, rather than your guests. Yours sincerely, Wandering Minstrel.
Right!
Dear Wandering Minstrel, thank you for bringing yet more of your petty foibles to my attention. There's just no pleasing some people, and you really are one of those, aren't you, to be hiding behind this ridiculous pseudonym. I had gone out of my way to try and make your stay as pleasant as possible, but if you are who I think you are, that self-absorbed tosspot who breezed about my home with an expression that looked as though there was a fart under his nose at all times, and judging by the proximity of your belching, flatulent companion at any given turn, I am assuming this was indeed the case, then my gut feeling when I first met you that you would be a nightmare is something I should have listened to and promptly shown you the door, had you not been wiping your fingers down the frame for signs of dust.
For anybody reading this, Wandering Minstrel, an aloof pedant, and his sidekick, a gargantuan wildebeest of a man who didn't stop grazing from the moment he arrived to the moment he left, are two of the most repugnant, anal, pampered, fevered egos I have ever had the misfortune to come across in all my years as a hotelier. If I never see you again, it'll be too soon, you toffee-nosed tit! Who the hell do you think you are, coming into my house and pulling apart my good-natured hospitality for your own gratification? You, sir, are an internet troll. You thrive on the misery and misfortune of others, and I'm sure the thought of exacting some sort of revenge on myself for these heinous deeds I have purported towards you gives you nothing short of a fruity little thrill, shared only by your travelling companion, a man, it seems, who can only function because you will allow him to. I wonder, does this medical marvel, who recently stared Legionnaire's disease in the face, or rather into my shower head, have an original opinion of his own? It seemed to me, during your thankfully brief stay, that your bizarre relationship with him was not only deeply unhealthy, but that you were indeed a person who preyed on the vulnerable for his own means. In short, you were a leech. This sad, flatulent, miserable creature you refer to as your travelling companion wore a look of despondency, usually reserved for those ascending the steps to the gallows. It would have been quite fitting had he chosen his stay here to end his miserable existence with you by drowning himself in the very bathtub he spent hours examining for signs of limescale. In short, I wish nothing but death on the pair of you. What you have done is served to ruin my reputation, my livelihood, and in fact my whole life. It's over, so thanks for that, bastard.
Dear Wandering Minstrel, thank you for your reply and for pointing out the sarcastic tone of my correspondence. I wish to apologise. I am a passionate man and simply allowed frustration to get the better of me. This was born out of the fact that I have failed in my duty to make your stay here a pleasant one. I wholeheartedly agree by the ethos that the customer is always right. You, sir, are the lifeblood of this industry. Without you, I don't have a business. Without you...
I don't have a business.
I've now had time to reflect on my tardiness towards you, and although I have no excuse, I would like to assure you that a combination of personal circumstances on my part were at the root of the problems you faced during your stay. I am pleased to say that they are no longer an issue, but I'm aware the damage has already been done, so in the interest of good customer relations, I hope you will find it in your heart.
Your cold, black heart. Your heart to allow me to put things right and accept my offer in the manner it is intended. An olive branch, if you will, for you and your travelling companion to return to stay at Sunnyview as my guests. Free, gratis, and a weekend of your choosing during the forthcoming Edinburgh Festival. I understand a lot has been said, particularly by you, you arrogant arse. A lot has been said, particularly by me, but hope, in the spirit of good customer relations, you will allow me to make amends, and you both have a weekend at Sunnyview Guest House that you will never forget. I look forward to your reply. Yours sincerely, Mr. Ralph H. Carpenter. Open your eyes.
Oh, a townhouse.
A guest house.
Oh, are we staying here tonight?
I put in an offer.
To buy? But what would we be wanting with a guest house?
We'd be escaping the city, leaving the rat race behind.
Aye.
Oh, look at it, Gloria, look at it. Look how peaceful it is. The land is unspoiled, and that view.
Oh, but for how long?
There are no plans to build here for 10 years. And it's going for a song. I thought we could put all our savings into this.
Oh, all of our savings. But I've put away that money for a rainy day in case we need it. In case we need something to fall back on.
We were old and grey and life's passed us by. This is too good an opportunity to miss. Our own guest house, Gloria. You're looking at the future.
What about your writing career? Your trial for Hollyoaks?
No. I refuse to take part in any more of those beauty competitions. Television is not what it was. They're money trenches. Cheap plastic hallways where pimps and thieves run free. Good men die like dogs. I'm not doing it.
You've worked so hard, and you've been doing so well.
But how can I compete against cheap scripted reality shows like My Brummy BFF and Our Sisters at Pope? I can't keep writing for free, hoping some unknown producer will give my stuff to some fictitious contact in the hope that it can get made, but he won't because he's neither got the ability or the interest, no matter how good it is.
Oh, poor Ralph. You must feel so rejected.
The rejection I can handle. It's the hope I can't stand. These people, they bring out the worst in me, Gloria. I've started having thoughts. Dark, unhealthy thoughts. I have to get out before I do something to one of them. side to me you do not want to see. When I get riled...
Shh.
Does that mean yes?
We'll give it a year. If it doesn't work out...
Oh, well, it will! I'll make it work for the both of us. I will not let you down. Oh, I knew it. I knew you'd share my vision, Gloria. We are so in tune. To us. To us and our future. There is just one more thing, Gloria. Will you make me the happiest and marry me? Gloria?
Yes? Oh! Yes! Yes, I will!
Ah, there we go. Oh, perfect.
Drink up, Ralphie! It's a double celebration!
So, if you just keep going straight up, it'll bring you onto Lothian Road. The cinema's about halfway up, you can't miss it. Have a lovely evening! Our guest's got a film premiere in town, dear.
That's nice. Like to be nice, you know. Walking the red carpet, cocktail parties, mixing with the celebrities.
You sound disappointed.
Why don't you ask her to have a look at one of your film scripts?
No. Put myself through that torture again. We are fine as we are.
Yes. Yes, this life is so much more safe. Ralphie, why don't we have an early night tonight? It's been ages since we, you know.
The American guests are coming soon, dear.
You've always got time for the guests, and never any for me. Sometimes I think you don't find me attractive anymore.
What's I do, my dear? It's just the business takes up so much of my time.
Ralph, I just want that spark back. The way we used to be when we first met, remember? We were spontaneous. We took risks. Do you remember that time we drove down that dark country lane into that secluded spot? And you told me to get out of the car. Then you sat me in the bonnet and you started to undress me. Your hands were all over me and oh my God, that wasn't you.
I don't want us to have secrets, so I need to ask. How many were there before me? No, just tell me.
I don't know. Average, I suppose. 30, 40.
40!
Did I say 40? I meant to say 4. There's been 4.
I can't help noticing you're drinking a lot more. You know, like there's something missing in your life. Maybe a void I can't fill.
Don't be silly, Ralphie. I don't need anyone or anything. Only you.
go and visit your sister?
In Australia.
Yes. Yes, why not? We're handy for the airport, aren't we? In fact, if any runway were any closer, we would need traffic lights and a barrier at the end of our drive. Oh, Ralph. Let's just pack up and go. At least we can say we've tried.
Look, it's just a bad patch, eh, Gloria? Come on, that's life.
It's not the life I wanted. Not the life I chose. I'm unhappy, Ralph. I'm lonely.
Look, Gloria, you really need to pull yourself out of this. Come on, please, 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 stop wallowing.
I'll wallow if I like.
But we have to try and keep the little guests we have.
Well, you better go to them then, hadn't you?
Right.
When I met him, he had ambition. People says he had talent. He had the potential to become a great writer. And I had dreams of award ceremonies, opening parties, trips to Hollywood. But then the knocks came, and the cracks started to appear in his confidence. I had hoped that being here in the countryside would help inspire him, fire him up again. But the damage had already been done. He was beyond repair. And so I said goodbye to my dreams of award ceremonies and parties, and hello to an endless stream of guests. I got to know some of them. A little. Too well, if you know what I mean. Well, it was inevitable. Ralph, I'm sure he knew about our night together. There was this one young actor who came here to escape the hustle and bustle of the festival. I saw in him the same spark of ambition that Ralph once had, and it raged like a fire inside this young actor. And Ralph, he didn't say anything. He was too consumed with the business as it went under. And then there was a review that hit him worse than any opening night he ever had. Worse than being taken off air even. He became obsessed with it. Obsessed with them. And the void between us got bigger and bigger. So I continued to look for comfort elsewhere. With other guests. I suppose I hoped that it would shock Ralph back into existence. But when he didn't say anything, I knew then that he'd given me a license to do whatever I wanted. And I did. Time and time again. I mean, what kind of man turns a blind eye? But by then he wasn't a man anymore. He was a mouse.
For those who may have read my early work,
Yes! Oh, that's it. Right there. Oh, yes. Faster. Longer. Deeper. Harder. Slower. Gentler. Oh, yes. Harder. Faster. Squeeze that. No. There. Yes. That's it. Move your head. No. Take my weight. Both hands. Both hands. And try that. Oh, yes. Oh, that's it. Now. No. It's all right. He can't hear. He's in the other room. The walls are
more and more people are reading this review of the day.
The review! Is that all you can think about?
It's my business, it's so bad! I mean, how can this person say these things about us? The salesmen don't have a problem with us. There's no end to them. If they stop coming, I don't know what I'd do.
Me either.
Gloria, it's not enough to keep the wolves from the door. We're in trouble.
No. You're in trouble. You're the one that plowed all the savings into this pit.
But the bypass, it's had a detrimental effect in the business. We owe the bank a lot.
You owe the bank a lot.
Which is why I wanted to ask if you could take some money out of your account just to pay the mortgage. It's the tide is over! Please, Gloria, this review could send us under.
Oh, relax. We've still got some guests.
A handful of worn-out salesmen.
They're not all worn out.
Roger always seems to be. In fact, I'd say Roger by name, Roger by nature. What? You think I didn't know? Or didn't you care? Was that
Oh,
it?
finally! Might it have occurred to you that I wanted you to say something about it? Look at you! Standing here, spiteless! What kind of man are you? Well, I suppose now's as good a time to tell you as any. I'm leaving. I'll be going first thing in the morning. This life was never for me. I'm going to start a new one with Roger. Oh, for one spare man,
What do
Ralph!
you want me to do? You want me to hang you? You know how I feel about violence. If I cross that
Oh,
line...
yes, that's right. The mist comes down. There's no telling what you may do. Well, you live in your little fantasy. I'm going to have a life.
Oh, Roger.
Yes, with Roger. Did you see his BMW out there in the drive? Leather upholstery. Reclining seats. He's had me in that
Stop
car.
it.
Twice this.
Stop talking like that!
Roger's got ambition. Roger's got drive. He sees what he wants, and he takes it.
He's taking off!
What? You... He'll just have gone to the garage or something.
Well, if he is, he's in a hurry. His room's empty! His clothes have gone! He hasn't paid his bill! Prostitutes usually get paid, don't they, dear?
How dare you?
Oh, well, what else are you? You're not a wife. You're just a lush who, when she's not abusing the guests, is having sex with them.
Well, it's better than bending over backwards to please them.
Ah, yeah, which I'm sure you've done on more than one occasion.
You could learn a lot from Roger. He's a man that knows what he wants and how to get it. You want something in this life, Ralph? Well, you've just got to take it with both hands. But you won't, will you? You'll just stay here and rot. And you know why? Because you've no ambition left. No desire to better yourself. You've turned into this sad little man. Content with his lot. You're never, ever going to get ahead.
That's where you're wrong, dear. That's exactly what I intend to do.
These characters, George, Phil, Desmond, they're just names, aren't they? They have no real arc. You see, they should start off at the beginning of the script with a goal, and well, by the end they should have achieved that goal. Yes, I suppose the lead character does in some small way within the end, and as you say, he faces insurmountable hurdles, and I suppose he does triumph over some sort of adversity and corruption. But what is his inner conflict? His obstacles? An inability to trust and a deep-rooted desire for a father figure he's never had? Being unjustly made a pariah in a world gone mad, which he then has to save? Yes, but that's all a bit obvious, isn't it? Bit on the nose. I mean, what is the subtext here? Cautionary tale about the fragility of human existence, you say? See, that's where it all gets a bit muddy for me. Subtextual. But is it? And another thing I find myself wondering, as I read the script, is what genre and theme is it? Because it's just not clear, and that is so essential to be able to encapsulate in just a couple of words. A personal drama with a desire for validation as its theme. But is that coming across? See, I don't think it is. Not in this draft. Look, what I suggest is you go back and re-examine your characters and story. If you start now, you could have a new draft done by, let's see, the end of the week. If you take on board my notes, I mean, it should practically write itself. It's just words, isn't it? Don't be so disheartened. Maybe this should be a lesson that feature films just aren't your forte. Yes, well, it was good to see you. Bye.
Are you ready to order, sir?
I'm waiting for my colleague, thank you.
Sorry about that. Bloody writers.
Wasn't that,
What northern working class social realist brought up on kitchen sink drama, self-taught pain in the arse? Yes.
He won a BAFTA, didn't he? And an RTS award? And an international Emmy?
Not worth a sausage. Not in the world of film. And that's where it really counts.
Lord help us if he ever writes a play.
You know, I inherited him on the writing team when I was working on the soaps. For my sins. My God, did I make progress in the short, all too brief time I was there. Do you know, he had the audacity to question one of my story ideas. Said it didn't ring true with the characters. Of course, I had to pay him back. Keep him in line.
Oh, you sacked him.
Oh, good God, no. You don't sack a writer. No, that's far too easy. You let them do 3 drafts of the script. You tell them it's all going fine, and then you get a minion to tell them it's not working out. And then you refuse not only their phone calls, but also the final payment. It's their own insecurity that finishes them off.
I take this is bad then?
I've no idea. I haven't read it. Just the first page.
But I heard you. What was all that about?
I just brought him halfway across town so I could spout McKee at him.
There's some good dialogue. And that's a really well-written scene. Do you mind if I,
Take it.
Oh, thank you. I will.
What are you doing?
Putting my name on it. It'll come in handy for a development application or something.
Oh, speaking of which, I saw your website. So the film's going ahead then?
Yes, we're planning to shoot when the lighter nights come in.
Didn't you say that last year? And the year before?
Oh, is that a film script?
Yes, I'm a writer, director, producer. This is my script. That's my name there. Underwritten by?
In red paint?
Yes, I was just editing it. You look very familiar. You're an actress, aren't you?
No.
Well, you should be. You have a very, classic look. Very Ingrid Bergman, wouldn't you say? Why don't you join me for drinks later? We can talk about your, change of career.
Oh, look, could we order, please? I'll have the lobster thermidor and a Chateau Margaux. 1995.
And I'll have the sea bream and, Chateau Lafitte Pauillac 1996.
As well as the Chateau Margaux.
Yes, one each. By the way, who's getting this? Is this on the,
Well, I got the last one with the seed funding. Plus, you've got all that script development money to spend. My God, you didn't give it to the writer.
Fuck no!
Oh, in that case, this one's on you. Oh, look. It's from that horrid little man who runs that guest house.
What guest house?
The one up in Edinburgh. When we stayed there on the pretence of meeting Harvey Keitel. When they were shooting Braveheart 2 up on Lithgow Palace. You were horribly drunk. The freebie, the jolly, the junket.
Ah, there have been so many.
Oh, look, you put it through as a recce for a possible documentary on the Great British Guest House. Your accountant had the audacity to question the hospitality expenses because it came to around £3 grand.
That's right, the bastard!
Do you remember I posted a few comments on that Holiday Advisor website?
Yes.
Well, after a couple of bouts of verbal sparring, he's finally conceded and has invited us to a delightful weekend in the country during the festival and completely at his expense.
No.
To say how sorry he is.
I couldn't possibly go back there. I almost got berry. Or was it dengue fever?
There's that wonderful distillery nearby. Plus, it's completely free.
Well, in that case, I suggest you write back and say we'd be delighted to accept his offer.
Dear, oh dear, no. That's far too eager. I'll tell him we'll, consider his offer. You're giving away too much too soon. You have to build anticipation. Like in a script. Oh, honestly, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you knew nothing about writing.
Go. I am so sorry about this, but I just can't take the chance of the guests coming across you. Not that it would be the first time. All my apologies, dear. You bring out the worst in me. Shouldn't really be so crude. You see, I'm sorry it's come to this. But there's only so far you can push a man before he snaps. Even me. Still, I suppose I can get on with turning the business around. Oh, speaking of which, thank you so much for the £20,000 rainy day money. It's very much appreciated. But you should be more careful in future about where you put your memorable banking information. I mean, inside your diary with everything else. All the years of drinking must have addled your brain. Still, I suppose it saves me from pickling it. Ah, that's our guests. Now, I will not introduce you because you seem a bit detached today. Nothing? I'll just tell them you're a little indisposed. Oh, and don't mind the rats. They moved here when the motorway started construction. Personally, I find them a strange comfort. And I'm sure they're a step up from the company you used to keep, dear. I am so delighted that you've decided to take me up on my offer. I mean, I think life is all about learning from our mistakes, being given a second chance, don't you?
I do hope he's not going to spend the whole weekend bowing and scraping.
On the contrary, I'd expect nothing less.
By the way, what happened to you today? I was looking out for you at the television festival.
The bastards wouldn't let me in. Said there was a mix-up with my delegates' pass. Do you know they actually expected me to pay? I refused on principle.
The cheek. Do you know, the writers expecting us to pay for options next?
Oh, the very idea.
That reminds me, the script I got from you, I sold it. The writer, the northern fellow, he was actually in the room. I'll wait till he gets wind of it, then I'll say what I always say.
You can't copyright an idea.
I see he's changed a few things. It doesn't look quite as untidy.
Ah, appearances can be deceiving. I'm sure we'll find something. If we look.
Yes. I think after dinner, we should do a thorough inventory and report back on that website. Do you think he has wireless in this dump?
Why so eager? We have an entire weekend at our host's expense. I suggest we milk this for all it's worth. Make him think everything's going fine. Lull him into that false sense of security I was talking about, and then, just as we're about to leave, we pull that rug from underneath him and get to see that expression on his face. You know, the one that looks like a puppy that's just been kicked.
You know, I do hope I'm able to get some sleep tonight, with all these planes taking off and landing.
Well, I find copious amounts of alcohol help. And I intend to drink this little hovel dry.
Your meals, gentlemen. And I will get your wine shortly. I didn't get a chance to ask the last time. But would I be right in saying you're in film and television?
You would.
Me too.
Must be very rewarding. Being able to bring a writer's original idea to life.
Well, you see, I'm a writer, director, producer, so I do wear many different hats. And I always say...
Oh, the writer is just a very small cog in a very big machine. There are much, much bigger cogs. The producer, for example, is the biggest of all the cogs. Which is why I like to keep myself well oiled.
I notice your wife isn't here.
She's, nearby. I will get your wine, sir.
Oh, I seem to recall you having a particularly fine 40-year-old brandy. That'll go down very well after dinner.
It will be my pleasure.
Oh! And a bottle of red for my friend. I suppose your wine list will be as I expect. Totally devoid of anything out with the normal supermarket range. But I'm sure it'll suffice until the brandy. Well, that'll be all. Do you know, the wine in this place reminds me of the last time I was working for with Oliver Reed. We were drinking about 6 bottles of this horrid paint stripper out in Gdansk. Or was it Cornwall? You know, I never can remember. Anyway, Ollie had lost his trousers. Again. So he's wearing this grass skirt, and I said to him, Ollie, love, Ollie, dear, dear boy.
Why I didn't see it before in the first visit. It all made sense. The unjust criticism, their indifference. Just when I thought I'd rid myself of these people, there were 2 of them back in my life. And it became crystal clear, listening to their conversations, that they'd lived off the talent and reputation of others for years. They had brought nothing to the industry they worked in. It was a miracle they were allowed to get away with it for so long. And then I remembered something. Film and television is the only industry where the incompetent can fall upwards. They live in this vacuous little existence, infecting anyone who comes into contact with a war. They live off people for their own pleasure and financial gain. So at that point I knew the world would be a much, much better place with them. My years living with Gloria, and her constant nocturnal activities and sexual gymnastics with the guests, had proved too much. Problems with the business, noise at the flight path, the review, it had all taken its toll. Not just in my health, on my sanity. Sleep became a thing of the past. And so I was prescribed these strong sedatives. And I found one could put me to sleep in half an hour. So I wondered just what results a dozen of them mixed with a bottle of house red would produce. Better than I expected. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But who to serve first? That is the question. I would have thought that was pretty obvious.
You!
Hugh! I never thought I'd see you again.
Bloody husband of yours brought us back here.
And it didn't take much, did it? You parasite. You made his life a misery the last time. I'm glad to see he's redressed the balance.
Waitress, he's cut my fucking head off, you stupid woman!
Don't speak to me like that!
Oh, excuse me, but you seem to be missing the point. You're distinctly lacking in the body department yourself. So what was it finally tipped him over the edge, Did living with an obnoxious lush finally make him snap? Or was it your wandering eye every time a new sales rep would come to the hotel that did it? These things weren't too difficult to spot.
I'm well aware of your eye for detail, thank you. It was your glowing review that sent him over the edge, if you really must know.
All I did was point out where there was room for improvement. If people can't accept criticism, well, they shouldn't be in this business.
Even when it's totally unjust. And you have no clue what you're talking about, and your only motive is to destroy someone. Just because you can.
Well, gotta have some fun in my life.
I've no one else to blame for my predicament. Either of you.
You know something? Something different about you. Can't quite put my finger on it. Oh, I know what it is. You're sober. Well, at least you finally got a clear head.
Oh yes, very droll.
Dinner, upon arrival, although not too unpleasant, was served in such huge quantities that it made it quite impossible to refuse the gargantuan proportions for fear of upsetting the owner, who, it would appear, was of such a fragile disposition that even the slightest complaint of having reaching for the Kleenex. This gastronomic assault proved far too much for this moderate eater, and it was only after a lengthy snooze that I found myself able to try and locate my companion, who, I would imagine, was already unearthing more horrors. It was during the process of said expedition that the owner said I should take a look in the wine cellar and peruse his selection to see if I could try and find a grape that would not offend my companion's palate. My first impressions of the cellar was a cold and damp place and appeared to be completely devoid of any sort of wine. So again, I tried to find my companion, knowing that when I did, I anticipated we both faced a long night ahead.
My wife will be taking care of complaints from now on.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Another day.
Yes.
Any plans?
That spider's putting on weight. The one in the corner.
Surprising, really, the amount of time he spends on that web. You'd think he'd be burning up energy. All that weaving.
Spinning. Spiders don't weave webs. They spin them.
Someone's woken up like a bear with a sore head this morning.
Do you have to? It seems to me that at every given opportunity, you have to drop the word head into the conversation. It's though you think it's clever or something.
Actually, it's a little irritating.
Well, if we had to wait on either of you two to say anything interesting, we'd have an awful long wait, wouldn't we? Excuse me for trying to make the best of a bad situation.
How about a game of I Spy?
Oh.
Well, charade was a complete washout.
To think it should come to this.
Go on then, if we must.
Okay then, I'll go first. I spy with my little eye something beginning with R.
Rat.
Those who may have read my earlier review of Sunnyview Guest House, I feel I have to apologise. I adopted the moniker of Wandering Minstrel, as I am one who is well travelled. But in my haste to save such seasoned travellers as myself a similar unfortunate experience, I had, to my eternal shame, wrongly named Sunnyview Guest House as the offending location of a recent unhappy stay. I can't emphasise enough how sorry I am for this massive error on my part, and having stayed at Sunnyview over the years, a place I would recommend highly to anyone, I can't begin to imagine what damage I may have caused. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my deepest apologies to Mr. Ralph Carpenter, the wonderful hotelier of Sunnyview Guest House,
who has made each and every one of my trips there, in particular my most recent one, a most memorable one. I hope that my deeply offensive and wrongful comments haven't been too damaging to his business in this current climate, and would like to assure him that I have now taken down my past reviews in the hope that he can finally achieve what my woeful comments were stopping him from doing, which was to simply get ahead.
Just glad I got it all